Hello and welcome to the Comedy Slab podcast. I'm Shane O'Connor and he is Adrian Lacey. If you've not joined us before, each week Adrian and I will alternately choose a comedy programme to watch. We then dissect it and digest it. Or do we digest it and dissect it? No, you'd have to dissect it.
Some of it's indigestible, but...
You'd have to dissect it before you digest it, wouldn't you? Anyway, at the end of all that, we decide if we liked it and we give it marks out of 5 each, and then obviously it'll accumulate into a mark out of 10. At the end of the podcast, we're going to tell you where you can find the programme, and we'll also reveal our homework. That is, which show we'll be looking at and reviewing for the following week. Indeed.
I had a flashback in the week, which can be painful, which we didn't tot up. You didn't tot. Let's blame where blame is due. Last week's scores didn't get totted up into a score out of 10. We had our individual scores.
Hang on. When did I get... I was put in charge of tottage. I didn't even get the memo on that one.
You're tottering, frankly, at the moment.
This coming from the man who didn't want, if you remember, didn't want to give it stars out of 10 or points out of 10 or whatever he wanted to do out of 10. Did you? Do you remember?
Are we having a row in public? I don't want to do dirty washing.
Just get your handbag and let's get going.
I can't remember what I scored last week. Oh, go on, let's do it. Let's do it in front of... I think, actually, that will probably pull a bigger audience in.
Do you know the really annoying thing?
Dawn.
I just threw my notes away from last week today. I had them on the desk here beside me. I could have told you what it was.
I know it involved halves, so that would tot up to a 1.
Yeah, we'll have to listen back to it now, won't we, and figure out what it is. Anyway, what are we looking at for this week? Well, it's my turn to choose, and I thought I would go with a kind of... Because you would... I'll tell you what made me do this. We did Stuart Lee last week, and you were really kind of apprehensive about what I would think about it.
Yes.
And I thought... I don't think I can go through that this week. So what I'll do, we'll do a double blind taste test where neither of us knew, neither of us had. It's a relatively new series. I think it's just coming to an end, isn't it? Or it's just come to an end.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the Comedy Slab.
No, the program that we've chosen for this week.
Oh yeah.
It's coming to an end of its run on TV, and neither of us knew anything about it or had seen it. So that's why I decided to choose it, because I thought, well, we're both coming to it fresh. And I thought because of that, we'll choose episode 1. So the programme in question is called Stath Lest Flats, which I just love as a name. And I think as you were an ex-continuity announcer...
Oh, it's a tongue twister and a half.
It's a rotter, isn't it?
A complete rotter. And most of my work, I think, was certainly in the earlier part of my announcing career was live, so no second takes. And, yeah.
You see, I've watched all this online, which I wanted to watch it live on TV, because they'd go, and now on Channel 4, Stath Lest Flats.
Yes, that's pretty mean, but we're talking about it, aren't we? So it's a bit of an earworm as a title, which is quite clever, I guess.
I think it's a great title. I loved it because it intrigued me. Like you say, it's a bit of an earworm. It intrigued me straight away when I heard somebody say, tonight on Channel 4 or whatever, Stath Lest Flats. And Stath what? Stath Lest Flats. But we're looking at Series 1 and we're looking at Episode 1, because I thought, well, if we're going to come to it both fresh in that way, it's nice that we kind of don't really know anything about the rest of the series, so we'll see it as a viewer would see it right from the start. Stars Jamie Demetriou and his sister Natasha. Is it Natasha or Natasia?
Well, it's spelt Natasia.
Yeah, I wonder if it's supposed to be Natasha or Natasia.
It's a Greek version of Natasha, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Natasia.
Yeah, fairly basic sort of plot or sit, I suppose, in the sort of term of sitcom.
So I thought that was an order. You were barking at me like I was a dog.
Sit. Stay where you are. In as much as Stath works in his family business, he works alongside his sister and he works for his father. In North London, I'm kind of picking up from what we got. In their family business, which is a letting agency. And it is no more complicated than that, is it really, I suppose, as a premise for the comedy?
No, that's a good way to describe the starting point. Yeah,
I tell you what I loved about it, and again, this is coming from which we don't always do, Series 1, Episode 1, is the way that they fed in characters without being obvious about it. I kind of felt quite comfortable with that from the outset. You kind of the pace of digesting who the characters were, where they figured out in the hierarchy of the cast what their kind of role would be. It all works quite naturally, I thought, with the writing. Did you feel the same?
Well, I'm quite slow to pick up on new characters. I mean, as on TV, as in life, I'm terrible with names, and I have to meet. I've also got, I think, partial face blindness, which has got a fantastic name. What is it? Not Phantasmagoria. Stephen Fry confesses to it. I think he's got it more extreme. But I need to see someone 3 or 4 times before the face actually registers.
Really?
And then, and then if it comes with a name attached, that's a bonus.
Wow.
But this show is really good for me. Doing The Slab is great because I watch things more than once. And I think first time through, I couldn't have told you anything more than Stath, I think, is the lead character. And that would be about as far as I would get with names first time through.
That's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing, actually, to be honest with you. That
it is now.
Face blindness is interesting.
My phone's got better facial recognition than I have. Sorry, carry on.
I thought his sister got quite a chunk as well. It's his sister in the plot, and it's his sister in real life.
Mm.
And I saw a bit too much of her, I thought, as a character in the first one. I don't know. I kind of thought. I know they had to kind of break up what he was doing because there's quite a bit of physical comedy in this, isn't there?
Yes, and I suppose, it would be a bit too much to have a solid half hour of him, or whatever it is, 23 minutes minus ad breaks. Is that what you thought the strategy was, as it were, the structure?
Yeah, I didn't. Well, because there are other characters. The interesting thing is that when you see Stath, it's all about him and his interaction with people that he's trying to let flats to, because he's not very good at letting flats, as we mentioned, and he's not very good. He's not very good with people, is he? I love the way he's bad with people. I mean, I think it's just fabulous. He tries to make, and we'll hear a bit later on, but he tries to make small talk with people, and he just misses all the while, doesn't he? He just can't. He can't do that. He couldn't sit in a room with somebody and have any kind of cogent sort of small talk, chit chat with them at all. He just can't. And because if you do that job, that's what you need to do. All of his sister's scenes weren't related to the business, were they at all? So I suppose it was the complete antidote in that sense, I guess.
She's, I suppose we'd have to say in traditional terms, she'd be the love interest, although she's this character Al's love interest.
Yeah.
But not a conventional Hollywood-style love interest, which is part of its charm, I think. Shall we hear a little bit, our first of 3 clips?
Yeah, and I think, again, to give people a flavour of what we came to, I thought, well, why don't we have kind of the opening scenes? It's like and I love this. I mean, I thought, oh, wow, this is great, without thinking, because normally you're thinking, oh, how is this going to be sustained, or how long can they do this for? But it was like a kind of amalgam, wasn't it, of various people that he was showing flats to.
Yeah, just a sort of quick montage of different possible. I quite liked amalgam though. It made me think of my teeth fillings though.
See, I was trying to think of a montage.
Well, okay, we're trying to be very exotic, obviously.
I always think of blancmange when I say that. I don't know why. I can't really understand it. But yeah, okay. So this is. I mean, this is in the introduction and bear with, because some of it is a bit physical. Like in the first scene, he kind of jumps
and a bit visual. Yeah,
yeah. He jumps out of the car, doesn't he, and like kind of runs past me. Sorry, I'm late. I ran down
the car
there
as well, doesn't he? We can't park for toffee, which all fits the pratfalls.
Anyway, let's have a listen. This is Stath trying to let flats.
Stath, perfect to meet you.
Hi.
I'm Stath. Many happy returns. I'm Stath. Daughter. Yes, exactly. And shall we wait for Mummy to go in, or are we just going to charge in?
Me and her mum are separated.
Oh, God. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was sort of a song for her because she's quite young. Oh, and there's a chair. Michael and Eagle lettings. This is a feature up here that we tried to get rid of,
But in the end, we decided we loved it.
And as you can see, there's an absolutely a shower.
I mean, why have they put the television here? Who's watching TV like that? Just making sure there's no one in the bathroom. Oh, blimey hell, there's a man in the bath. I can see his willy. No, just joking. It's a lovely flat. There's no willies. Imagine you have a party. Look how many people you fit in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then that's 7. And then you step aside, that's 14. And then, what's another 7?
21.
21.
So, yes, a little bit visual at the end there, but what he's doing is counting, and this becomes a very appropriate term given what happens later in the episode, or what the episode hangs on. He's doing pigeon steps across the rug to indicate how many people you could squeeze in a party in this flat. Now, that's wrong on multiple levels. One is, if you're trying to let your own flat or, a property that you're associated with, it's actually his dad's business, we find out. You don't want to encourage having parties anyway. And secondly, they really are tight footsteps such that you'd have to be standing literally shoulder to shoulder with everyone else at the party. I think it would be a major fire risk, so don't go there. But yeah, that gives you a montage, if you will, or an amalgam, whichever you choose, of the kind of guy he is and the kind of people he's trying to let to. Is that a fair representation?
I think so. Do you know, and the other thing is, I just love, it's like, stand-up comedians have talked about estate agents and about their euphemisms for it seems like all of my life. But I don't think I've ever seen it in a sitcom. And it like kind of made me laugh out loud that, in that clip you heard there when he said he's talking about a big girder. There's a great big girder in the room, and he like taps in and says, we tried to get rid of this, but it's we really like it.
You're almost helpless with laughter.
It's just
just to translate for the listener who's trying to work out what you actually said under the laugh. We decided we liked it, which is obviously a euphemism for we couldn't work out how to get rid of it.
Get rid of
or
it.
Actually, it's a load-bearing part of the structure, isn't it?
Well, it looks like it. Yeah, it looks like that's you wouldn't have a room without it, would you? I wouldn't have thought really. But it's just full of like delicious little things like that. I'm a great one for realism. And you kind of think, people like that wouldn't say that. But like I never felt that the character ever said anything that you wouldn't hear a letting agent or an estate agent say. You were saying about face blindness and about, I'm one of these people, I kind of think, where have I seen that? I kind of have this memory bank of faces, and with actors and actresses, I kind of think, where have I seen them before? And Jamie Demitriou was driving me mad. Because the last time I saw him, and what I recognised him from was a program called Fleabag. Have you ever seen? Did you ever catch up with that?
I have, and I was I even knowing that and checking it out online, I still couldn't think he was. I see the bus rodent. Well,
yeah. Do you remember with the comedy? He had comedy teeth. He had these really, really huge and misformed teeth.
Oh, very vague bells, but it's a while since I've seen Fleabag.
Which they're commissioning the second series of, actually, so we must revisit that, mustn't we? When they
Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a new breakout star, isn't she?
Yeah.
But as of now, with Stath, I think we can say the same of Jamie. So did you work it out for yourself, or did you have to cheat online to find out he was the bus rodent in Fleabag? That is getting a bit niche.
I had to look it up and cheat a bit because it was the teeth. I mean, it's like, and I haven't seen comedy teeth like that since Dick Emery. With his comedy vicar teeth, didn't he? He used to have this.
Oh God! You are going back for the benefit of anyone under 105. Yes, Dick Emery was. He led his own sketch show, and part of our childhood memory. Gosh, I haven't thought of those vicar's teeth for some years.
I don't know.
I think I'm going to have nightmares tonight.
I don't know why he had comedy teeth for a vicar. I don't know how that.
It's. I think it's this kind of smarminess and smoothness. Again, I mean, you have to know the world as it was then. Not quite as extreme as in Ireland, where some of your familial roots go back to. But, I mean, religion was a bigger deal. The vicar was a bigger character back in the 70s. So
yeah.
But anyway, we digress. It sounded like obviously you're not going to give marks just yet, but you are won over by Mr. Demetriou and Stath.
I got to be honest, I loved it, and I haven't loved something as much in a long time. The cast, I thought, were really, really well placed. I'm always pleased to see Katie Wicks in a comedy. She's one of my kind of go-to comedy actresses. I think she just always gets it right, and she plays this kind of feisty, fiercely competitive, like almost passive-aggressive competitiveness, isn't she? With the Stath character.
I couldn't remember. I mean, I knew Katie Wicks. I'm turning into my dad, who used to sit there watching the telly, saying, "Oh, go on, that's what's name from that thing, the series a couple of years ago." And I'm like that, but fortunately we now have something called the interweb. And did you know off the top of your head where you'd seen her before?
Well, she's part of that group of actors and actresses, the Tom Basden, Katie Wicks, Tim Key, Johnny Sweet. I sent you an episode of Party, the radio series, didn't I?
Oh, no, she was in that, right. I'm making connections now.
And she used to have a double act with a girl called, I think they still do, actually. I think they still do work together, called Anna Crilly. And they had a BBC series, which I don't think they give them enough time to breathe these days on TV, do they? They like if it doesn't kind of go where they want it to in the first first series, it's touch and go whether they get another one. But yeah, they had a I think it was just ran for one series, but
right. Well, the series I recognised her from, but it took me a while to a bit of my dad's routine.
Yeah.
To work out she was in Not Going Out. You remember her character?
Of course she was. Yeah, she was. What was the character name?
Oh, it's on the top of my. No, I've got it written in front of me. It's Daisy.
Daisy. That's
I wouldn't have remembered that. And so she's a little bit slow.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Did you see the parallels to The Office? Did you kind of get the Office feeling?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I almost think. I see parallels in any show that's kind of led by a slightly clumsy, goofy person.
And one camera shows are the other problem, aren't they? If it's just got if it's a one camera thing,
mockumentary style and all of that, handheld and all of that. Yeah, because the world did change. I think I've said this in a further episode, a previous episode of Comedy Slab. It was a sea change. And that was I mentioned actually it was the royal family were the show where it's thought that was the beginning of the end of the laughter track, but the Office was certainly massive, obviously in creating that momentum that you could have a sitcom without having Mrs. Miggins from Acton chortling under the microphone.
Of course, there's a production connection with this, isn't there? Because this is Rough Cut TV, which is the production company of Asher Taller, who is the guy that produced the Office.
Right. Shall we hear another clip?
Yeah, I was going to say, should we hear the one with Carolyn, which is the Katie Wicks character? Because I said passive aggressive and you said not so much passive, but
certainly aggressive.
Yeah, you can hear the. They don't hide the animosity or the competitive nature between the two of them, let's say that.
What is it you actually do, Helen, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I'm in graphic design.
Yeah, I thought you were creative, actually, because I'm quite creative. I can usually spot others.
Yes, and me too, very, very much.
Look, hell, this flat. I mean, you asked the last tenants. They were just crying when they found out they were leaving.
Yeah, because the bailiffs come, they took their table. It was their granddad's table.
That wasn't here.
No.
I don't know you, obviously, but from what I know of you, like thus far, absolutely wonderful, creative minds, hell of a top on, good morals. I think you're probably a little bit like me, actually, aren't you? I think you like things how you like them. Don't ask me why, just do, don't you? You just want to come in, shut the door and go, yes, I'm home. Little glass of wine, that's you, innit? Am I sort of in the right ballpark with that?
I think so, yeah.
And from my point of view... I thought I had something to say, I don't.
That is, I mean, can't imagine any other character starting to say something, stopping, and then saying, "I thought I had something to say."
It's back
I
to
didn't.
that. It's back
That's
to that,
brilliant.
that sort of awkwardness, isn't it? Where he can't, like, you think the one thing that you've got to have if you're going to do a job like that is some kind of personability. You know, that kind of, you've got to have that. You've got to have, be able to interact with people. But he just,
You'd be brilliant at it, frankly. You could flannel for Britain. And also, I've never knowingly known, you've never dried in my presence. You've never run out of something to say, which is very useful in this game, particularly if I dry.
I'm only 52 though. I mean, there's time yet, isn't there? Really,
I can't see it happening.
No,
I can't see it ever happening.
No, like I say, love Katie Wicks. I think she's just fabulous, and really great comedy actress. And turns out, and again, it was nice to see her do a different character. And every time you see, she does some great stuff. Tom Sturton, I don't know how you pronounce it. You know, the guy next door, the guy in the shop next door, who keeps chaining the wheelie bin to the front door.
Running gag, very lovely. Yes.
Because they're competitive letting agents, aren't they? He's got a letting agent, agents next door. And so he starts off and he ties the wheelie bin. And he was another guy, and I'm thinking, what have I seen him in? What have I seen him in? And I had to cheat again and look him up. But he was the one of the main characters in a program called Siblings, which is on BBC Three. Did you ever see that comedy program?
Oh gosh, rings a vague bell. No, I'm not sure I saw it. The title rings a bell.
It was, in fact, there was a sister and a brother. He played the brother, and the sister had the lead, and he was the kind of the secondary role. I thought it was fabulous. Again, I really loved it, and he was great. And I'd like to see more of him, because I think maybe you do as the series goes on. I don't know. But I just thought he's a great character, and it's a waste as an actor if they're not using him, kind of thing. A lot of people have said Jamie Demetriou. There's a very strong link to Steve Coogan. Could you see that?
I've seen the comparisons drawn between the two guys' one man show. That's what I was looking at. Is that what you were thinking of in particular?
Yeah, not so much this. They were saying that he did. I think, didn't he do an Edinburgh show where didn't he do a Fringe show where he was doing kind of one man character stuff?
I was reading. Yes, I think the wonderful Ms. Wikipedia made some kind of reference to that. But not having seen, I haven't seen that on video. I haven't seen it in the flesh. But I mean, what a comparison! I think you wouldn't turn that down, would you, as a comedy actor?
No.
Being some parallels being drawn with Steve Coogan, of course, massively well known for Alan Partridge, certainly in the UK. You mentioned Siblings. I mean, I know it's the title of a show, but Siblings seems to be a recurring theme now. Have you seen This Country, which is a brother and sister combo?
Do you know that's on my list? No, I haven't. Maybe we can do that one of the week, because that's on my list to see. I don't know. There's quite a few comedies that I've kind of passed me by and I've missed out. Is that one you'd recommend?
Well, I liked it initially, and then I found it's kind of slipped into a bit of a formula. I mean, again, they will suffer. I'm sure it drives them mad, comparisons to The Office, but it is like The Office transposed to a poorer part of the Cotswolds.
Right.
So it's like an office without an office.
I didn't think there was a poorer part of the Cotswolds. I thought.
Oh, well.
That was the whole point of the Cotswolds.
You will see. Yeah, but that's the thing. Tourists, and I speak as a sometime tourist in the Cotswolds myself, you don't go to, with no disrespect, you don't say, oh, I'm going to stay on a council estate for a week. That's not your normal kind of holiday.
Well, we do.
But actually, oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's me corrected.
Just to signal our virtue, we go. Look at us, everyone, mixing it
with
a
life
people
of self-denial
who are not as well off as we are. And,
right.
And we're not goading them.
Each to their own. But anyway, that's you've got brother and sister combo at the actors, Daisy May Cooper and Charlie Cooper in This Country. Yeah, we may do that one week. I mean, let's hope we've got a long run ahead of us before you dry up.
Yeah, because the great thing is as well, there's some great comedy, there's some great new comedy, and there's some great not so new comedy that we've still got to have a go at. So yeah, no, you're right. I forgot to mention, I love the little graphics in this as well.
Oh yeah, and the music, a little bit of balalaika. I think we're talking genuine Greek music. Well, it sounded genuine to my ear.
Yeah.
And yes, the videographic. Can you describe? It's not very easy to describe.
Well, they're like just little overlays which give you a flavour of how they would advertise the flats that he's going to try and let, wouldn't he? You know,
Probably on YouTube if they've got that sophistication. I tell you what, it made me think. It made me think we're probably looking at low budget Greek TV, where and we've had green screen for years, but it's unsophisticated overlaying, and he's kind of
when he tries to sit on the
comedy
sofa,
again, which is hard to describe in audio. But yeah, he sits down. It looks like he's actually going to the toilet. The way he sort of sticks his bum out overlaid onto a picture of a sofa. You really have to see it, friends.
It's and have you seen the other ones as well, where they've got descriptions of the flat that pop up from time to time?
Oh, I like those. Again, obviously very visual. Yes, there are captions superimposed. And one of them was nice small stairs.
Yeah, very nice small stairs. And what was the other
soft
one?
furniture,
Quite roomy with a cooling draft.
Yes. Again, it's euphemisms for not very well maintained building.
What did you think of the physical comedy? Because I read a review. What I tend to do is I'll tend to watch this. I'll write notes and watch it, form an opinion, and then I go and have a look and see what other people have said or how other people have felt about it. And one of the reviews that I saw said that they felt that he didn't add anything that Frank Spencer hadn't done, in that kind of physical comedy kind of way, which I thought was a bit harsh. There's a scene towards the end where you mentioned he was trying to catch the pigeon. And he breaks a TV, and I thought, oh, that's a bit silly there. And then he breaks another TV, and the guy whose flat it is says, "Does he?" The second one,
he just says the obvious, doesn't he? You've broken another TV.
No, he says, "No, not another one."
Yeah,
and then he breaks a third TV, but then Stath says to him, "You did that." and actually that redeemed itself then for me. I kind of thought the physicality. But how did you get? Because there was quite a bit of physical comedy in it, wasn't there? Really?
Yes, I think that the Frank Spencer parallel again, which dates us, but I'm sure he's on YouTube now. Michael Crawford doing lots of pratfalls, but again back in the 70s not 8.5 Hot Mum. Some others do have them. Yeah. I knew there was a mum there somewhere in the title.
Yeah.
But he did his own stunts, which you would never get safety clearance for now.
No.
Famous skateboard under the HGV. Huge lorry. He skateboards under
roller skating, isn't it?
Roller skates. Sorry,
yeah.
Didn't have skateboards in them days. God, that was
it's before skateboards were invented, wasn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, and I thought as I was watching for the second time through this episode of Stath that I thought actually it's much tougher than he's making it look. It's a classic pro. The pros make it look easy. And I was laughing out loud. I laughed out loud at that third TV. Sorry to have ruined the gag, folks, but there are 5 other episodes you can enjoy in the series. It did make me laugh out loud. We've got...
Sorry.
One more clip, haven't we?
Yeah, while you're just on that thought, I just want to say the only point that made me laugh out loud, and it does take a lot to make me do that, is with the pigeon, when he's trying to catch the pigeon with a vacuum. And that I just...
The nozzle of the vacuum.
And it just
I'm quite sure that sound was overlaid, in case you're worried about animal rights.
But he kind of like it pulls out, doesn't it, from the pigeon, and he's eating some seed on the sofa. And it
looking
pulls
very happy.
And then he pulls out, and you can see this nozzle of a vacuum come creeping up towards him.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, classic great timing and a great shot. Good direction that it widens out. And we should say, this pigeon has just appeared in someone's flat, and this guy's going, he's at his wit's end trying to get the Stath's father's company to get rid of the darn thing.
I love it. I love it. Sorry.
Remind me what we got in this third clip.
The third one, actually, it harks back to what you were saying about Stath's sister, Sophie. This is like all of her tongue twister.
That is a tongue twister, yeah.
She's kind of got this sort of romantic flirting going on with a geeky guy that works in the office called Al. And this is the two of them. Would you say flirting? Was that?
That's a thing. Yeah. It's quite poignant and tender, but also quite fragile in its way. Yeah.
So have you been to this hospital before? Is it nearby?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've just got a bit of a sagging feeling in my eye.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know the way. I always see it when I'm on the way to my jumping.
Oh, cool. So what's that, you're jumping?
Oh, I just go to a jumping class. It's part of my college. You just go and jump around everywhere for an hour.
God, I'd love to do that. I need to do that. Yeah. Sophie, do you do Twitter? The whole sort of Twitter thing?
Yeah, oh my God, I love it. Yeah, all my cousins follow me. I even, got a reply from Leona Lewis once. She told me she'd had enough.
See, that's great. You know, I do a couple from the Michael and Eagle account, but I can't play with the big boys. My stuff's mainly two-bed property to let. Kind of cool, I guess, but, you know.
You should do funny ones from the work account. Like, check out these flats. They're doolally crazy.
That really makes me laugh.
It's great, that awkwardness again between the two. Between the
laughing
two.
too much. Yes. Inappropriate laughing.
That kind of laugh is.
And a credit for that actor, Alistair Roberts. Very, very convincing character, and a rather clumsy one, as you'll see if you watch the show.
One, of course, who won't be appearing later on in the series is it was a character called Marcus who works in the office. He was like a kind of a sort of backroom boy, wasn't he? He was doing the paperwork and stuff like that. By a youngish actor called Alex Bennett, who sadly, I think he was in W1A as well, wasn't he, Adrian? He died quite recently, didn't he?
Yes, I hadn't made the connection till you raised it before we were recording, but terribly sad because he's a really good comedy actor. Great timing, and he's listening to Muse at one point at high volume to make him forget about his wife having left him. Clearly, there are some issues there with the character.
It's because Stath has no idea what Muse is, does he? So I can't understand what you say. What you say, like Muse?
He doesn't even know what it is.
No, just absolutely love it.
Can I say, changing gear a bit? I mean, I'm loving discussing this, but I have to say, the first time through, I had a bit of an issue with this show being, at best, a guilty pleasure. I've got a big question for you.
Go on.
Shane, you know I've got a low guilt threshold. I think it's my religious upbringing with big-toothed vicars in the past.
Well, bless you, my son. Bless you.
Thank you very much. Which is, isn't the whole show punching down? This is not a high-status industry. It's not a high-status thing to be a Greek person or Greek-Cypriot person in London. Again, there's no disrespect implied by that, but, you know, do you see my problem?
No.
Are we poking fun at a guy who's so he's clumsy, he's goofy, and also he's not part of the mainstream, you know, sort of hundreds of centuries of English roots and so on.
No, I don't get. Oh, I don't know. I mean, if you want to feel like that, you will, won't you? I mean, I read a Guardian review that said they were going on about Brexit and then the generation rent, and is this about Windrush? And I thought, mate, you're missing the point. You are just, and thankfully, I read, as you know, I read the comments from normal people below, and they were saying Brexit. I failed to see that connection, kind of thing, you know. And they were kind of sort of saying, mate, you're wrong. You've lost the. I think there's a danger of reading too much into that, isn't there? With comedy, this is. They talk about political correctness, but I think that to me is the worst end of it. Is that you kind of read, you know, here's a guy. I mean, he's from that heritage, so it's like it's not as if it's somebody pretending to be. Although I don't really have a problem with that personally, but if you pretend to be, you know, from another community or whatever, who would know that community and that kind of the family business and how that would work better than him? And if you can't write about that, you're denying him the right to talk about his heritage or make comedy from his heritage or make art from his heritage. And it's as ridiculous as the Jamie Oliver row with the blooming rice. You know, it just. I don't see it at all.
Jerk rice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more complicated. I hear what you say, and it is. I mean, he's coming from his own community, commenting on it. So yes, we are a world away from. I had flashbacks to Harry Enfield, who was born in Sussex. So yes, it's quite a different thing having Stavros, if anyone remembers that from the past. Again, you might want to YouTube. Hello everybody peeps kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that did have a knock-on effect. I mean, George Michael was pilloried might be too strong a term, but he was given some grief over that by some journalists who then gave him further grief because he wasn't amused. But a guy's got a right to be not amused, well, by anything really, and taken seriously.
I still think a guy's got a right to do it, though. I think that's like I say, I mean, I've never been offended by Irish jokes. Whoever was telling them, I've never had a problem with it because I think it's comedy. To me, it's all about intent, you know. And if you intend to hurt somebody and to harm somebody and to be vicious to somebody, then fine. If you're saying that you can't have a laugh with somebody at somebody, then I don't really know what the future of comedy is. Then.
It would rather tie the hands.
Wouldn't it really?
Yeah.
You know, it's like people make jokes about bald people all the time. And now I know people who have contemplated ending their life because they were losing their hair. And I'm serious about this because I know people who told me that that's how they felt about it. And I must admit, it was a bloody big deal for me when I lost my hair. But if you said that, they go, oh, well, that's, you know, I'm more of a victim than you are. You'd never know what it's like to be me. Well, no, of course I wouldn't. What a stupid thing to say, you know. And I don't know. I just think once you go, it's a road that you can't easily come back from, isn't it? That really, but I don't know. I'm biased. I loved it. I really loved it. It's one of the most refreshing comedies I've seen in a long time. It was different. It was about a world I didn't really know about. I fell in love with all of the characters. I loved them all. Without exception, there weren't any characters that I thought, oh, I really don't like you. I can't relate to you. And so I'm hugely biased, I think.
Right. Unfortunately, all I heard in that last paragraph was, I don't really like you and I hate you, but you weren't referring to me. Although we should write a comedy about two bald blokes that hate each other.
Exactly.
I think that could fly.
Exactly.
Yes, I'm not quite. I think I might guess where you're going with your star rating. I'm not quite as smitten, but I was won over because my guilty pleasure worries. Eventually, that's all neutralised when I started laughing, particularly at the pigeon sequence.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, if you laugh, you can't laugh long with someone you don't like.
Yeah.
So
and the other thing is, I think you're not laughing. What you're laughing at is his incompetence and his inability to do the job, which has nothing to do with who he is. You're laughing at you know, you're not laughing at what he is. You're laughing at what he does, and that's the difference to me. Yeah, shall I give it a star rating then and put everybody out of their misery? They know where I
think it's put me out of my misery.
I'm gonna bang a 4 in. 4 out of 5 for me. I loved it.
Oh, it was sounding like a 5 though, because you have been quite generous with your 5s in previous shows.
Yeah, and I kind of you said, oh, I don't know whether anything's ever good enough, and you made me doubt myself.
No, I shouldn't make you rethink your own. That wasn't my intention in previous comedy slabs.
Shall I give it?
I feel guilty now.
Right, I'll give it a 4.5 then.
Oh, no.
4.5 for me.
Oh, now I'm going to have to give it less because you've come down from 5.
No, you shouldn't alter yours based
I'm
on
winding
mine.
you up, what you like. But I was never going to give it a 5. I don't know where I am now because I've been won over. The more I see it, the more I like it. So, yeah, I'll come back next week when I've seen it another time. I'm going to give it. I'll give it 3.5, and I don't quite know why it hasn't made 4. I think I need to digest it a bit more and possibly watch it a bit more. But
okay.
It's already it's on the rise from the first viewing. So
8 out of 10 is not bad though, is it? Really, when you knock them all together.
That's not bad. And since you mention it, I've recalled it was at the mention of Stuart Lee earlier. I've remembered you gave it 2.5 last time. The Stuart Leeds comedy vehicle. I gave it 4.5, so I will make that 7 if we got our maths right.
Yeah, which again is a very respectable score, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Before you tell us what the homework is for next week, just to recap, you mentioned that we put all the links in if you want to see where it is on all 4. as it's called now, which is Channel 4's on-demand service. You can actually get it on DVD as well, so if you search online, I think Amazon have got it, HMV, the usual suspects when it comes to buying DVDs. You can get Stath Lest Flats. Our homework then for next week, young man.
Oh, just before that, and
Yeah.
I love the young, although that sounded deeply sarcastic, given that I know how you really feel about me. A credit once again for Rough Cut Television and Little A Productions for Channel 4, which is what Stath Lest Flats is, and getting really technical on DVD. The label, as it were, is To Entertain Video. So look out for To Entertain Video, Stath Lest Flats. So yes, homework for next week, should you choose to accept, as if you have a choice. We're going back to the wireless waves, so much easier on an audio podcast to not have to describe physical and visual gags. It is Jake Yapp's Media Circus. Are you aware of this?
No, brilliant.
You
Another
can say
one.
yes. It's
Another
fine if
one.
you've heard it.
Another one that I've not come across. I can't wait now. I love the ones that I don't know. Jake Yapp's Media Circus.
Yes. Now, does the name Jake Yapp mean anything to you?
Nope.
Right. Okay. So you come from a completely, as it were, clean perspective.
Unusual for me. I come from a stance of complete and utter ignorance.
Most unlike you. I could, you see, could make some jokes about your roots there. I don't mean the ones that have fallen out on the floor. But anyway, no, I won't. Because, the thought police will catch me. My own thought police. I don't want to say too much. I don't need to say too much, except for our dear listener. You can find this on, it's a BBC radio production, BBC iPlayer. And as we speak, episode 4, I'm going to say episode 4 because they're each self-contained and because you've got longer on iPlayer because of that time window thing. Because it went out more recently, you got a bit longer on that. By the time we get this podcast up and doing, you should have a couple of weeks left on that. I will research other ways of catching up with Jake Yapp. I'm sure there are many in different forms. What is it? He picks off a theme. It's in the title there, Media Circus. Picks off a theme of something different in a media vein each week. Got a great cast, a bit like Colin Holt's, a previous radio comedy we looked at. Very strong supporting cast. He's got it all really for me. I think he ticks the boxes. He's got impersonation skills. He just cuts to the chase as a comedian. I found it very funny.
Okay. Look forward to that one, as I do when they're ones that I've never come across before. It's like that idea of you don't really know what to expect at all.
I now worry that I've oversold it and you're expecting too much, so you can't win this show.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. As long as I'm in a state of ignorance, I don't mind.
Okay.
That's it for another Comedy Slab podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, as they say in all good podcasts, don't forget to like and to share. And to, if you'd like to review or give us a couple of stars ourselves, that'd be nice as well, wouldn't it?
We'd love that. We never refuse. Well, you said a couple of stars. We prefer 5. But, yes, those who live by the sword might die by the sword. Since we critique other people's shows, we might find the actors go and give us a really bum rating if we haven't liked their show in future weeks. Who knows? But, yes, till next time, I've been Adrian Lacey. He's been
Shane O'Connor.
And it's goodbye from both of us.